The most fitting video would be to show finds specifically from HaBayit in this video. The problem is that there've never been legal excavations on HaBayit. There has been illegal, I'm going to say construction, which also means destruction on HaBayit, and that's a whole other story. That's certainly not by archaeologists. Archaeologists, you have to keep in mind, they go through like with a toothbrush, basically, and the people who are up there currently basically just destroyed everything with bulldozers to dig out the area to expand their mosque over there and just dumped everything out into the valley, which is a huge, huge tragedy because who knows what we would find in that area. There was an attempt by Warren, if you've ever heard of Warren, like Warren Shaft from the City of David, and etc. He would kind of like Indiana Jones for those who know Indiana Jones. But either way, he comes in here sent by the British, kind of on a dual mission. On the one hand, they were also spying out the land before World War One. On the other hand, they were also sent to explore the land for antiquities and things like that for scientific purposes. So he comes in, and what he really wants to do is dig on HaBayit to be able to see what he can find, and who knows what kind of things he would find there, right? But of course, the Muslims there don't allow it, and so he says, "Okay, no problem. Would you allow me just to dig a little bit to the south of HaBayit?" And they said, "Yeah, I guess we can do that. That's okay." His plan, of course, was to actually dig down a tunnel and then dig northwards and try to tunnel under HaBayit. But he didn't end up getting there because he ends up finding the city of David. And so he finds all kinds of finds over there. He gets distracted, I guess, and that's what he ends up finding. He doesn't end up making it to underneath HaBayit, at least as far as we know. But that being said, so we don't have any real excavations, proper excavations that have done on HaBayit. Like I said, there has been illegal construction, and they dumped a lot of that earth out into the Kidron Valley, the valley to the east of the HaBayit. And today, over the last number of years, there's been a project going on called the Sifting Project, where you can actually go and take part in some of these siftings, either from there or other areas, and just sift through this earth and try to see what you can find and whatever data we can get from that. And there have been amazing things that have been found from there. At the same time, you lose the very important element of stratigraphy, meaning things are in a strata, they're in a certain level. And when you find them on place, in situ, there's a lot more that you can learn from it. And all of that is, of course, lost when it's just bulldozed and dumped out into the valley. Lost basically forever. Okay. We will never be able to analyze that properly, but we can at least get from it whatever we can. They did find fascinating things. One of them being, for example, if you've ever wondered what the floor of HaBayit looked like as you're walking there, keeping in mind we'd have to walk HaBayit barefoot, okay, when we go on Ali al Rega. And so what were our feet actually stepping on? What were we connecting with through our feet? And we found flooring which matches Roman style, except that it's kind of the adapted Roman style. So there are no figures or anything like that. It's more just geometric patterns that made up apparently the floor of HaBayit from Bayit Sheni times. Okay, we don't have from Bayit Rishon times over there, but at least that's something that we can connect with. And they found lots and lots of other really cool things. But either way, we don't have actually finds that I can show you specifically for Bayit Rishon at this point, which would be the most fitting thing for this video. One final point, though, that we can shed some light on at this point is what we've raised by Shlomo HaMelech with regarding building up the Milo, the area between the city of David itself and HaBayit. And again, it brings about that struggle between Kedusha and Melucha, where on the one hand, if we're that close, so then could the Kedusha influence the Melucha, and that could be potentially a very good thing, or could it lead to the Melucha trying to control the branch of Kedusha? Because in essence, we have a certain natural sense of checks and balances within the system here, where we have a king, and we have a Kohen, we have a Navi, we have the Shoftim, right? Meaning the judicial system, let's say not Shoftim from Sefer Shoftim per se, okay? And each of these is kind of a different branch of leadership. And they're supposed to have a sense of check and balances. So when the king is off, and then the Navi comes and tells him off. But if the king is getting too close to the area of HaBayit, then it could be that he's trying to control and take over that area. If that sounds surprising, we actually have something like that in Bayit Sheni times, where the Chashmonaim, who are right, we have the Kahuna and even the Kohen Gadol, ends up taking over the Melucha, ends up taking over the kingship, and that leads to serious, serious corruption. So this is the kind of thing that we certainly see over time, and we see it in Tanakh times to a degree here and there as well. So it's overriding these checks and balances systems of antiquity, and in essence, creating a monopoly over the leadership power. And that could perhaps be one of the things that, and the dangers that could be going on here.